All of your stuff is, but I don't know, something's happened to all of us, I guess. But I've noticed with you that it's so hard to do the linear timeline, but you're like you've just been like, I don't know how many posts you're doing a day, but you've got to be doing at least three. I, I see him because you're the time difference, and I have you on my top of my list, and I see him, and I don't get a chance to read everything, but but I've just noticed like you've really been accurate, and where everybody's, let's see, they're all hooking up. Oh, we're gonna give it a couple of minutes because we're late. But
Yeah.
yeah. So it just seems like so much of the community is talking about these narratives. You know, the election and the quarantines and the all that stuff and all these theories and narratives and the white hats in the government and everyone, and then you come out and you address it, but you don't really address it specifically. You just kind of boom, like here's what's happening. And I really appreciate that because, we interviewed David Icke, what was it, January 13th? And then a few other people. And I wanted to like bridge the dialogue between, let's say, starseed communities and disclosure communities. And one of the things that I haven't been able to ask anybody, I didn't have the question in my head. We had a great interview, a great show with him. It was actually very different than anything I've ever seen him do. But I wanted to say, okay, is there not some type of strength or power or empowerment or something that we could add to this collective consciousness by kind of like grounding or positioning ourselves from a higher perspective, and basically looking at things from a higher perspective where you get away from all the charge, of good and evil and all that, and not say, oh well, this is how it is and everything's okay, but to say, here's the wisdom from that vantage point. Let's infuse that into the energetic field. I really don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm hoping you can save me.
I understand it, because you've got to get lifted off the earth. You understand? If you get pulled into the quagmire of that, you cannot see. You're almost like you are in a spiral and you can't get out of it, because a spiral is up with tears. You hit that door there. You've got to get momentum to go through that. Once you get through that, you just gain a different perspective. That's why I will not get into that political things. I will not get into that. I refuse to, because the minute you do, you get pulled in.
Yes.
Whether you understand this or not, whether you're conscious of this or not, it's not. And the thing is that we've already stepped into the new earth. Since the 5th of July, it's there. And in my soul readings, it comes in so permanently. You're standing at the crossroad now. You can stay in the 3D and play out all the same old things, over and over and over again, or you can free yourself completely. And that only goes through the sacred heart and your soul and the universal forces, and step in universal mastery, where you're not affected by all of this anymore. The minute you raise your frequency to that high, this lower frequency cannot get there. Whatever they like to, they cannot, because they cannot tune in there.
Yeah.
They disintegrate when they get there.
I tell myself, like, I don't get real gung-ho about it. I never have. I find it, I try to fill my field with everything so then I can process it however that works and then do what I do. But I find that what you said is very true. And some people may disagree with me, but if you're watching it, you can't help, it's part of you at that point. So there's just, it's only a matter of, at that point, what level of, I'm going to just say this, what level of imbalance are you at? Because even like, let's say that the narratives are there and there's one narrative that's QAnon, Trump, white hats, and it could be anything. And then there's this other side. Well, immediately there's separation. I'm accepting, even if it's true at a literal sense, I'm accepting separation. So, and even if if I look at something, I'm going to naturally favor something. I would love to see the whole world, and just everything be perfect and all that stuff. But I keep getting, when I check in, and I want to talk to you about like the last couple of months, because it's been amazing, the level of information. But what I was going to say is, I keep hearing that I keep hearing that, it's talking to me, but it could be anybody, that whatever possibilities you can come up with, good, bad, and whatever, you're not even in the same multiverse. You guys have no idea how glorious this will be and is, really. Does that resonate with you?
Yes, yes, yes. They keep telling me you are stepping into a total new creation, so that you cannot even phantom what it's like. You understand? Because you are going into this a sort of a super race now. And I just say race like in brackets, a super new creation of a super race. You know that all the myths and legends talk about the gods that were on earth,
Yes.
who were so advanced. Well, we're stepping into that. So this lower 3D has no place in there.
Yeah.
So you cannot take your thinking and your feelings of a 3D into that. You've got to literally be transmuted into that higher state, so that you step into a totally new creation and create as a master.
Yeah.
Not from fear, not from duality, not from polarity, but from the state of unity with all that is.
God. And I really feel like, on a personal level, and I'm only speaking, obviously, because as the individual goes, so goes the collective. So to share the experiences, to look, to me, that's like the awareness is there to enough degree for really all of us. And now it's more of what are you going to choose? So I'm almost
Exactly.
hearing from my team. I guess I am hearing it, to be honest with you. Uh, you need to make a choice. You can
Yes,
either, even if you go over here 1% of the time, what's going on today? Uh, did they arrest the bad guys? We look at those things, and I know I should know better. Even if that all happens and they have military tribunals and all this stuff happens, it's not going to change anything. And the reason I say that is because if we're still carrying a charge, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. You're going to have a charge if it goes this way. Wow, I told you so. And if it goes this way, I'm a victim. So my
exactly.
team is, what I'm hearing is, especially last night, which has probably got something to do with you, because every
Mm.
time we get together, I get like I am right now, full of Cheerios, and my hair is standing up on my body. But what I was getting was like, you just make a choice. If you want to live
Yeah.
out your incarnation in this incarnation in, a mixture of 3D and drama and this, then that's fine. But if you
Mm.
want to uh, at least attempt to fulfill the potential of bringing in these higher energies, bringing in the higher dimension, being heaven on earth in the physical body without the transition of physical
Mm.
death,
Mm.
then
Mm.
go for it and leave all that other
Exactly.
stuff behind. It's like all or nothing. I can't do
Exactly.
it. Like you said, if I go look at it, I get charged. And that's the truth.
Mm. Mm.
And
Mm.
if I tell myself I'm not, I'm just lying to myself,
Mm.
because
Mm.
you can't read it and not develop prejudices and biases, right? I mean,
Yeah, but you get to the stage where it doesn't affect you anymore.
yeah,
And that is exactly the state of mastery that we now can gain. It's like this opportunity has been given souls, you know, but they finally, because all the karma has been lifted off
mhm,
humanity. But but even so, we can choose to play the old roles again, the old dramas, old stages, or we can choose to step out of it and into our mastery. Now, there's the gift. But if you don't see that gift, you're going to stay here and play all the old things and get the charges and whatever. But the thing is, if you start to understand that all is present within yourself, what you're fighting? You're fighting yourself. It's because we need to love a shadow into the deepest shadow and the highest light, and understand you need both of them. They cancel each other out in order to find wholeness. Once that wholeness has been reached, you transcend everything else.
Yeah. I like what you said about the myths and the histories, like the Greek gods. We could even go back to the Bible, to Genesis, to what they call the Watchers, the Nephilim. I mean, if you really look at all of that, there was obviously, in a lot of ways, regardless of how you look at it, in other words, regardless of whether you think you're a part of it or not, there was definitely a higher intelligent species that maybe had gotten broken down, and there was all the stuff that happened, but there's definitely evidence, physically giants. I mean, the pyramids. I mean, there's so many things that point to, which is really us, right? I mean, we're really comprised of all of that we're privy to. Right?
And that information has never been lost. It's always been kept alive by a few people on earth, And the thing is that all of those, because I'm really deep into the mystery schools in the last few years, what were they talking and bringing that back, that knowledge. And it's said to you, unless you die onto the old, you cannot transcend into the new and the higher state. So it literally means you've got to die onto the old Adam and the old Eve and leave that all behind in order to be reborn, to be resurrected into a new life. And that's exactly what's happening now.
Wow. So, God, I love talking to you. So last night I had the lucid dreams, and it just came back what you said. And there's a conversation between myself and I guess my higher self or a counselor or something. And I said to them, and I never do this either. I'm never stuck on like past lives or anything like that. And I said to them, I would like to know what my lineage is. And they looked at me and they said to me, have you ever wondered why you've never had the need to know? And I said, well, yeah, I guess you're right. Why am I asking now? They said, well, you're asking now because you're stuck. It's along the lines of what we were talking about a minute ago. And they said to me, you're everything, everyone, every single bit of history, everything that's ever happened. You were that. And you know that. That's why you don't need to know what life was I before and this and that. And they said to me exactly what you just said in different words. And they said to me, you need to leave all of that behind. And this is what you've done in previous incarnations as you've ascended. And they showed me that in each incarnation, each realm, each experience that we have, that it's the same thing every time in terms of bringing polarities to a central point for the greater good. And so that you just said what they said, which doesn't surprise me. Oh my God, Judith Kusel. The only comments we can see are on my Facebook page because we're using Zoom. But yeah, that's what they said. Because I was going to ask you when you said that, like, what does that mean to die into the old, But yeah.
It's a state that you literally, because I've been through it through the last few months. Everything came up, but I still needed to release one by one by one. The thing is, what I understand is how deep our subconscious programming lies. From the minute you are born, you literally absorb all the subconscious things around you from your parents, your grandparents, your ancestral lines, from everything else. And then once you get into school, the educational systems get hold of you and they shut you down more than they actually help you anywhere in life.
Yeah.
And if you don't start questioning from an early age, and you're not guided into the right direction from an early age, you literally sort of like lose everything that you ever remembered of your soul. And then once you start with the awakening process, these things come up because you need to now know the truth. And you always find the truth in the deepest sense within yourself, not outside yourself, not
Right.
in the fray. Because as long as the outside noise is stronger than your inner knowing, you lose the plot. You won't
Yeah.
know what to do with life. It's the inner knowing and the inner guidance, and really keeping the open channels to your higher guides, who lead you through life. You're never on your own, and embracing the divinity that is within you. We are all divine. We are all gods and goddesses in our own way, but we forget it. And then we get pulled into life, and we get pulled into everything that's happening around us. But now we're back into the state where we've got to remember our mastery and remember who in truth we are. And then you transcend that, because now you're not pulled in any direction anymore. You just walk your path. And I always say it's a sacred path. And if you walk the sacred path, you will walk that path relentlessly.
Yeah.
You will not see, look, who's walking beside you, nor is walking behind you, nor is walking in front of you. You will just stick to that path and walk it, because you walk it from your heart and your soul and with great love. And then you will serve with great love. And in service, I mean, you will be out there bringing the message to the world in your own way, as you are being asked to. You
Yeah.
do it in your way through the show, and I do it in my way through my writing and whatever I bring out there. And then we literally are being lifted off the old earth.
Yeah.
And it has no ties with us anymore, because we walk in our highest mastery. And we will eventually transcend in a light body form, where we become invisible to those on earth. And we can actually just make ourselves visible if we want to.
I
Because the higher your
believe
frequency, the lighter your body.
you. I believe you 100%. And we had, I talked about this on a couple of shows. We had 10 days ago, I think we were offered, Morgan started a channel when we connected, and we were offered to merge with our light body. It was explained to us that there was, I think, 10 more etheric bodies, and that it was recommended don't try to merge with them all at the same time. But long story short, I merged with my light body, and it was a very exhilarating, and a lot of wisdom came in. And one of the things that came in, it showed me that when the light body is realized, like in that moment, I was actually shown how there's no afflictions, there's no aging, that it's not even about healing, it's just literally a transcendence.
Yeah.
And so a lot of conversation went on, and then it became the higher self, which was another part of this, and it was obviously the most familiar voice I've had all my life, and was told that the only thing standing between this place and that place is simply my belief, and that these belief systems are the veil. So it goes along with what you were saying. Yeah, if I went into it more, but no, we're here to listen to you. I got to say too that I love playing your video clips on the Soulogy New Earth remix and putting a little music behind it. And one of the reasons I love listening to you, and I think people really respond to you, is because you have this aura of Glinda, the Good Witch and Wizard of Oz, but you also have the way you deliver the message. You are putting the total responsibility on me. You say, no one's going to do this for you. You're the man. You know what I mean? And it's just powerful. So I want to thank you for that publicly.
But it's true, because nobody, people want to get fixed. They want to have somebody piggybacking them, into that state. You cannot do. And nobody can resolve your unforgiveness for you, your problems for you. You have to work through them yourself. It's taking responsibility for every action and non-action, for every word that you speak, for every thought that you think, for every action you take. We can't get away from it, because with every thought you think, you create. With every word you speak, you create. With every action you take, you create. What do you want to create?
Right.
Most people are not crystal clear what they want to create. And that's exactly where they need to go and sit down and say, why am I on earth? What am I here for? You know, am I just here to squander my life away, or am I here for a purpose and a meaning? Once you find your purpose and your meaning, you cannot be anything else than the truth of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I've, you know, everything these last few weeks has moved so fast. Of course, it's been doing that, but I mean, it was really big since 12/12. And it's the information is coming in so fast that, you know, I've really struggled over the last few weeks to do these shows, and that's never happened before. And it's strictly, now I'm able to do it. I had a couple of 2, 3 days where I canceled, which I'd never really done before. But it's almost like I'm trying to verbalize everything that I'm getting, and and I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's happening is I'm being told, in so many words, pushed to just be that, and the important part of that is, what are you going to choose? And my attitude has been, you know, what I've been hearing in myself has been, you know what, if I really believe everything that I've been given, then I'll do it. But if not, if I have these times where I go back into the family drama or the past regrets, or you know, and I go, and obviously the thoughts turn into words and actions, and I do things that are out of alignment with my truth, then I'm going to play in that field. But I'm really getting to the point where I'm almost getting intolerant of myself and I guess others, in terms of, let's go for it. But I think it's really true, you know, what you said about, what do you want? What do you really want? Because like that is absolutely key. Because I guess if you know what you want, you're not going to be waffling back and forth anymore.
That's where we need to get into a heart space. You know, the heart is the most important key to the portal now that moves us into the new world, into new earth, because the heart connects now directly to the electromagnetic fields of the earth and the cosmic heart. And that is it. It's bringing in the beautiful knowing that is right deep there, because the heart connects directly to your soul. Your soul is omniversal. Your heart center connects to that. This is time to get out of here and into the heart. You see, we're playing out Atlantis. That Atlantis was when human beings totally went into the mind and they shut the heart center down. But the thing is, the brain can only go this way, this far, because our doctors have actually proven that, science has proven that the field is only that big. Your heart can go infinite space with your soul. Now, if you're in your heart space, your gut will always tell you what is the truth. The minute you get out, you feel you get signals, because from your solar plexus, you are what is your psychic center there, where everything is already, whatever goes out in your field is already reported right back to your solar plexus. So your solar plexus and your heart center is actually the hub around everything goes. Now, once you get into the heart of love, you get into the heart of unconditional love. But you need to have it for yourself before you can give it to anybody else. If you cannot love yourself into the deepest shadow and the highest light, how on earth are you going to love anybody to the same? we get to the state where we become so one with the oneness of love that we cannot be anything else but love. And then it doesn't matter who stands before you, you will always come from the heart of love. And the thing is, as long as people push your buttons, ask yourself why they are pushing your buttons. Because if you had no buttons to push, they wouldn't be pushed.
I like that. This reminds me of when I was in high school, my best friend came from a large Catholic family, and he had some older, much older sisters, a couple of older sisters in a big family. Anyway, one of them, this would have been, they would have been like teenagers in the late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them I only met one time, and she had moved to California years before and had joined a what they call a hippie commune, right? It was founded in Eastern, religious practices and such. Very serious, community oriented type of thing. Grew their own food and all that. Anyway, she came to visit a couple times, and the second time she came, and I think she was about 36 at that time. She came to tell her parents and her family in a totally loving way, I will never see you again. I'm committing to this higher calling or my own guidance or whatever you want to call it. And in this moment, I understand why she did that. Because from what I'm hearing from you and what I'm picking up is it's time to make this leap. And it's not a coincidence that I'm going to my hometown today and I'm going to see my children and my father. You know what I mean? I can feel it. There's something about the energy that the level it's at now that if you want, this is the way I'm getting it, you can make that leap, but it does require, because you can't take it with you, right?
No, you
You
can't.
can't take the old with you.
No, you can't take your family with you, whatever it is. And the thing is, a lot of them won't understand. I had the case with my own family, because I've always been the odd one out.
Go figure that.
They never quite understood me, whatever. I've always been funny. Well, not funny, but I've always done my own thing. And that's what it. I always wanted to know the truth, the highest truth, whatever life. My whole life was I wanted to seek the highest truth, and I wanted to recognize it in myself. But my youngest brother, with whom I was my closest to, he and when my whole life sort of like caved in at that stage, and he wanted me to come and work in his company, whatever. And I knew it was not going to work out, because there was just things that were not happy there. And it so happened that at that stage, I came back, and what happened is I was at a shopping center with my friend who had actually come to visit me, and we met in the shopping center. And when I got back, when we were in the restaurant, my purse and everything got stolen, and I was without anything. I didn't even have car keys to get into my car. Both was there, and I couldn't get back into the home that I was living in at that stage. So she phoned on her cell phone my brother and said, "Well, can you please open the gate for your sister, because she can't thing it." In any case, when I got back there, he blasted me, from one end to the other. And I was in a state of shock. But that was just one of those moments where he actually served me in a great way,
Right.
because I knew that this was not working out. I needed to go my own way and find my own way in life. And if I'd stayed there, I would never have been on this journey that I'm now. But for all those years, we hardly talked with each other. There was no communication. It was like, okay, I couldn't get to him. It was like a wall. And then I just, within myself, I knew I had to bring this all into bring all the charges into balance, and see how all of this has actually served me. And whatever I saw in him, I was actually also capable of doing. I did it myself.
Yeah.
And then once those were sort of dissolved, there was just love. And I actually wrote him a letter, and I expressed, and I said, I've always loved you and I wish you everything of the best and so on. And he just gave me a very short thing back, said, okay, And then I didn't hear from him for years. And then about a year ago, suddenly he phones me and he says, can I come visit you? And
Wow.
then I knew. Then I knew. I didn't say anything. I said, of course you can come visit me anytime. My door is open. And it opened the door that this year my brother and I could for the first time get back to our relationship before. And I realized, not before, but his heart had opened.
Yeah.
And then I realized now we were communicating heart to heart. We didn't need to say anything.
Right.
Because if you come, and that is the new way of communicating that they say is what's going to happen now, is we won't be able need to speak anymore.
Yeah.
We would be able to communicate heart to heart.
Yeah. Truth to truth. And you,
Truth to
you
truth.
bring up a good point too that I think needs to be restated. And so, you can't take them with you.
Yeah.
You can't take literally your family with you,
Mm.
but it doesn't mean that you won't reconnect again. You're just going to reconnect in a higher resonance, and I'm not afraid to use that word because it's not better than the other, but it is our heritage. It is our sovereignty. I mean, it is closer to our natural, our natural being, our natural state, and for them too.
Yeah.
Not to be hierarchical or anything, but I just because for me, I've got this going in my head. Okay, I had actually, and I even told Morgan, 3 4 years ago, I know I'm going to go back there one day, and before I leave, now I'm thinking in human terms, before I leave the country, before I leave the world, but it's
No,
actually an
and go to
energetic.
a higher state. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an energetic. And so then here it happens out of the blue. A friend reached out and said, hey, I live over here in your hometown, we've got some space. And we're like, okay, this makes sense, right? But knowing that yeah, you don't really lose them, you just don't take that. It's not even a person, it's that energy with you, which is
Right.
really an energy you're leaving behind. It's got nothing to do with anybody.
That's right. And you must remember that love is eternal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because our souls live on after we leave this planet, this embodiment. Our souls live on as universal beings because we already, parts of our souls is already working elsewhere in the galaxies and star systems and our own galaxies. So in others, parts of us already there. This earth is not the end all and be all of all existence.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that in our soul states, we're always connected. In our sleep state, we're always connected. And love is always present. It's never absent. It's always omnipresent.
Have you been having like a leveling up, a massive acceleration the last few weeks?
Yes, yes. It's
Is
it's
it?
it's credible. I have such an experience now of omnipresence that I've never had before. And I'm absolutely speechless. In those times you cannot speak. I cannot speak that. I cannot even try to put that into words. And I'm understanding now what I'm being shown is that this transition in where we're literally being lifted now into a much higher level of existence, that we will not even miss this earth in any way.
Yeah.
We will not miss the relationships. We will not miss anything because we become as a master. We are whole within ourselves. And we will be able to manifest into form what we cannot even think about now
Right.
because it's too big. We cannot grasp it as much. It's literally a type of existence where we will be able to bilocate wherever we want to. We
Yeah.
will be able to teleport wherever we want to. And it's not just from one place on Earth to the other place. We will be able to teleport galactically or intergalactically or stellar. So the thing is, we are stepping into a totally new world with such advanced possibilities that this brain here just cannot even function there. It's we're returning to the original state on Earth that was the first paradise when it was created. And if you look at it, your Hopi Indians tell you that, the Native Americans tell you that you've got to go through this hole now and move on the other side so that you can step on that highest path and become as one with all and everything again.
It makes you wonder if what would seem like let's just say not doomsday, but like powerful climate changes, no electricity, in other words, the consequences being that we end up living in that type of environment by universal design so that we find that space again.
Yeah.
We find that place again.
Yeah.
But there goes the brain again. Just don't try to figure it out. It is really about feeling, feeling, sensations, sensitivities, and more of a
space.
Yeah.
Go into your heart space. It's so interesting because the last since about December, not even December, just before December, I've been really brought to the Sacred Heart. And I started because I often have these tones because they tell me that in the beginning there was sound, you see, and from sound, everything. And these tones just come through me. And I had these Sacred Heart tones that were given to me. And then they said to me in December, they said, this needs to go out. You need to have a free webinar and you need to record it and then just give it out, to all of humanity. And if I say, I don't know how that is going to go down, but I'll just do it, I'm learning that if I'm being guided to do something, I must do it, whether I understand that or not.
Yeah.
And that I found that this opens the heart center like anything. And it's open to the core because it cleaves them open to the core, where they literally have no hiding place anymore. The heart opens, the tears flow, but they're not tears of pain. They're tears of release.
Yeah.
Going back to the core truth of your soul, because your soul is just love and light and wisdom. Your soul is wise beyond anything else. And in that moment, you get into that state. You do not wish to be anything else than the truth of who you in truth are.
You can't fake it.
You can't fake it.
But it's such a, like in our own field, it is a different type of voice, a different type of language, a different type of math. It's a subtle thing. It's almost what they call it, the still silent voice within, the still small voice within. So on a collective scale, it's kind of operating the same way. Even if you don't look at all that stuff that we were talking about at the top of the show, you still have to look to see those subtleties, but they are there, especially like, someone like you or even me that's been interacting with a lot of people over the years in these communities, because you can see their growth. You can see their expansion, and you can see the little miracles that happen. How many people have defied the conventional wisdom and met somebody on the other side of the world, or found a new passion and left their corporate job, or all these things that are happening. And this is where I keep going back for myself. When I start to get off, I'll go, why in the hell would you stop listening to that crazy, still small voice in you that you followed like everyone else did, that got us to this point? Why would you back off of that now? It's what got us here in the first place. Yes. And it's what it really is, it is us. It is that higher, that soul calling that you're talking about.
Yes, it is. And the soul calling is higher than anything else. And it doesn't, and if you wander over, it will always pull you right back to the core, because then something will happen, and you will just literally be faced with yourself again.
Yeah.
Most people run away from themselves all their lives. But once they stop running away and they start facing themselves and they start listening to their inner voice, they change just like that. I can see it every day. You know, I mean, people come back to me and they say, wow, we reconnected to our souls again. I know my soul readings do that, because often they just burst into tears and they say, well, I didn't know this was me, but I recognize it. I know this is
Yeah.
it. And that's why they come right back. I had the most beautiful conversation with somebody the other day, and he was saying that, and interestingly, he's just been to this gathering that was done sort of like in secret, with all these things going on, and uh,
Oh, I
and
see what
and
you mean.
and,
Yeah.
and he was telling me about this mystic that lives in I think he lives in Poland, that visited here, and how the mystic was telling him exactly what I'm telling you now, that we're moving into this new world now, and we've got to leave all of this behind, and we've got to remember the truth of who we are. And as he was voicing that, I thought to myself, well, you see, the universal truth is coming out now.
Yeah.
And it's coming out from all over the world, because the souls that are busy leading humanity now, and you won't find in the top ranking of all everything that goes on in the
No,
world.
that's what I was saying about the
Yeah,
subtlety.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was saying about the subtlety. On a personal level, I can see the parallel. I can see it's the same thing in the collective.
Mm,
And so, like, okay, I don't know. So I was thinking, like, for someone like you, without getting personal, I'm just curious, just to give me some context.
mm, mm, mm.
This is probably the human. This is the mind, probably. But are there like one or two things that you find, or that you have found, that were more difficult to detach from? Because I have a feeling that what we're talking about here is all the big things and all the little things, anything and everything that's attached to a lower to that pre-existing frequency that we came out of, or whatever you want to call it. All of it has to go. It could be a habit, it could be a person, it could be a label. But was there anything that was more difficult for you to let go of?
Yes, it was my twin flame.
Mm,
And I knew it was coming, but it was just one of those, because it's also many lifetimes and many existences.
mm,
And there just came a state where I just knew that this is where I needed to let go of, and I did. And but also with love,
mhm.
understanding that this was a soul lesson I needed in mastery in this lifetime, and that I have mastered now. I'm mastering it now. So I say thank you very much for all the lessons that I've learned, lesson gathered. And then also I think that in a lot of ways, I've literally in the last few years, I mean, since 2008, everything that I ever clung on to has been literally dissolved from me.
Yeah.
I started that whole new life, and what it has done is it made me very grateful for everything that I have now in my life. I take nothing for granted. The greatest prayer that you can ever say is a thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you for the small little things. I thank for the mountains. I thank for Mother Earth. I thank for the sea. I thank that I have a place to stay in. I thank for everything that I have, because it just brings me so much gratitude. And what I'm learning is that when something comes up, and I get upset about something, or there's something triggers with me again, like those buttons that I call about it. Instead of now, allowing them to be pushed, I immediately stop right there and say, okay, what is it? You know, why are you reacting? What is it that you're still clinging on? And to me, in December, when my Facebook account was taken
Oh,
off
yeah.
for 3 weeks, I literally was shaken awake, and then I had to sit down and think to myself, what are the benefits of this happening? And I literally worked through until I had 100 benefits of that happening to me. And when I actually dissolved that and I completely let it go of and say, okay, you know, I'm stepping into a stage where I don't need that anymore. I can energetically pull whoever I need to and communicate with anyone. And are no limits. The next thing, my account got back again. But this time they told me that they lifted it into a much higher level.
I felt your energy when that happened. You know that? I
Yeah.
could feel your angst, and I wanted to just like read like you did when we got on. Like I just wanted to just like grab you and hold you because I could tell you were really, really, you know, kind of shocked and it's interesting what you say about it coming back online. I don't know if you know this, but so we had David Icke and Sandra Walter and Marie Batchelor from Australia on that day on the 13th, and we actually hit. It's a sidebar, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. We actually hit 1 million minutes viewed live that
Wow.
day, which was a big.
Yeah.
But so the next day, I came down to to get the day started, and I went on to Facebook, and all 2,500 episodes of Soul Speaks 5D had been removed.
Oh no.
And so then I went into the multi stream and I tried to see, well, I wonder if I can go live. And no. So I put up a post and I said, all our stuff is gone. And I said, and I don't know why I did that. It wasn't like victim. It was just like, we can't. And so people started to say things like, oh, they did this or they did that. And so I went for a ride and, and I used a technique Morgan taught me a long time ago. Pull the energy up of whatever it is and have a discussion. So I pulled in the Walmart parking lot and I pulled up the energy and I said, what's going on? And it said, well, this is for you. And I said, well, okay. And I said, well, I don't really know what to do, but this is what I would like on behalf of serving myself, others, and humanity. I would like to have everything back where it's supposed to be. And we continue doing what we're doing. And when I was doing that, the energy was like a grayish, purplish mass. And all these people started appearing around the mass with me. And I knew in that moment that there were others involved in the ethers or whatever. So the funny thing was, the same thing happened to me because I told Morgan when I left, this is what happened. And I came back, and about 10 minutes after I got back, I flipped it on and everything was back. So then I put up a post and I said, in other words, this is for me. Don't jump to conclusions. Work with the energy because it's all us, right? It's
Yeah.
real though. This stuff really works.
Yeah, it does. And because we've got to learn to work more with energy and energy fields and get past everything that is solid, and sort of like real whatever, because we are working now in invisible fields and not invisible.
Yeah, that's right.
We are working with invisible realms now, and the invisible realms are more real than what we think is real.
That's right. They are the real. That old saying, truth is stranger than fiction. Well, we always think about, oh my God, that horrible thing is true, but it's the other side too. What you're talking about is the truth, and it's stranger than fiction. I mean, the reality is what we thought was fantasy, and fantasy is what we thought was reality. So,
Yeah.
it's
It's getting more and more so that we will work more and more on the invisible realms, but the invisible realms are actually the reality that we are now creating.
yeah. Yes, I was having a dinner with Morgan and a good friend of ours, um, and uh, and that's what I was telling them. We were having a discussion about different things, and I said the thing that I see, because people talk about the mother goddess energy coming back, and really, what is that? And I told both of them, I think what it actually is, because I've watched it with her and I've watched it with my friend and I've seen other particularly feminine incarnations doing it. And that is to take that ability to manifest up here and bring it here.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the
I
heart center. Heart center.
yeah,
There you are.
yeah. And I think people somehow, not like through instruction, I don't think, but I think people, as they've been doing this, other people pick up on doing it. Like I've picked up on doing it,
Yeah, exactly.
more consciously being around that type of energy. You know, yeah. And on that note too, and I think I remember you writing something just came in and left, but there was another thing. And I know you've written about the masculine and feminine twin flame for years, among many other things.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this, what I would call this mother energy, this, to me, it's even different than the divine feminine. It's the mother energy. Really feels like that. It's not coming, and it's here, and it's very
Yes,
warm, and it's very
yes.
powerful, right? And has that been something that's kind of come
Yes,
online a little bit stronger lately?
yes, yes, definitely. It as I say, it's in the sacred heart. It's compassion.
Yeah.
It's love. And but it's all embracing love. You know, it's a softness. You know, it's not that hard, sort of like a male energy.
Mm-hmm.
Look, the divine masculine is beautifully balanced. The heart is open. He's not, he's powerful, but in a beautiful way. Not in
Mm-hmm.
an aggressive way, like I've got to bash you.
Yeah.
That because the thing is, brute force gets more brute force.
Right.
So it doesn't get you anywhere in life, because if the more you hit somebody, the more you'll get hit back, because that's what life is all about. But if the divine masculine stands in his beauty, he stands with a beautiful open heart as well as an open mind. He's beautifully balanced in both, because that's what it is. You've got to marry your masculine, your feminine within yourself first, and become into wholeness. And now there's this beautiful energy that's flowing in, is bringing in the balance.
Yeah.
We're gonna get past the state where we make, where war is the answer zone. We're gonna get past the state where brute force is the answer. We are getting into the stage where we say, okay, let's see, where's the unity here. Where have got we more togetherness? Where is it that we can enhance each other? Where can we work together? And that's coming now. And we need that.
Yeah. It seems like the big challenge, I guess, collectively is going to be to accept the higher truths and everything that encompasses, which means that these things that we see that are going on, horrific and all, that give us a charge, are not real.
They're not real.
They're presentations to us. They're put before us. What's real is, and I guess that's where the responsibility comes in, is the fact that people talk about spiritual bypassing. And there's so many different definitions, but I'm going to say this is spiritual bypassing, is to continue to externalize it and say, look at all these bad people, look at all these bad things going on, and not taking the responsibility that your thoughts about this is what's creating and perpetuating that.
Exactly.
We're I mean, this is a big pill to swallow.
It is, because everything you see in others is present within yourself too.
Yeah.
Now you will say, okay, well, that's a killer. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but how many times have you killed other people
Mm-hmm.
with thoughts?
Yeah.
Thoughts are like daggers. You put
That's
like
right.
knives into them.
That's
Once you
very
start,
true.
once you start to own that inside yourself,
Mm.
you start to open your heart, and you see only love.
Yeah.
I once asked that question. I said, where does darkness come from? Where did it come from? And why do some souls do it? And I was told, how do you know that that soul did not take that upon themselves in order for their path in mastery? Maybe that is what they wish to experience in order to find the true light. And that really sort of changed everything for me, because I realized I do not know what path that soul has chosen.
That's right.
I found that in my soul readings time and time again, that often a soul we are like actors on the world stage. Okay, we take on an acting role, and sometimes we play out the villain, and sometimes we play out the other side. But what we play out is not the truth of our soul.
No.
Because once the stage is empty, you take all the masks and the makeup off, and you are your real self.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's happening now. We've got to take those actors' roles off and the mask and start standing in the truth of our soul.
Yeah, exactly. And I was telling Morgan this last night, and this was as a result of a couple of shows yesterday. Don't ask me who it was because I can't remember, because it's all like one, seamless show, right? But I was like, I was talking to somebody, and I said, I really don't. Oh, they said, oh, I was talking to somebody who had gone into hermit mode for a while, and I still can't remember who it was, and they said, do you understand? It was like 3 or 4 months. This person, whoever it was, is pretty active out there, pretty visible, and I said, yeah, I totally get that. I said, I'm actually in hermit mode. I mean, if you look at it on a nonlinear level, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. If I'm not on this screen, I'm by myself, and sometimes with Morgan. But I mean, so I get that, and I said to them, I'm not judging anyone at all, because I know I do things, and I know I do, but I don't understand. I can't even understand at it more and more every day how I or anyone can be focusing on things externally, because Todd is a full-time job. Like
Yes.
trying to stay on top of this gift of all this information. I mean, I'm talking about watching, we might watch a Netflix series, Vikings or something, that's a period movie, and I'm getting all these flashbacks of when I killed and when I was killed, when I tortured people horribly and I was tortured. Then you have like the galactic stuff. I've had a lot of inner Earth. All I see is tunnels, right? And
Yeah.
it's not even who I see down there, it's what I feel. And
Yeah.
it's like so powerful. So all this stuff is happening, and then, oh, you're going to go see your kids, or you might see your dad, or your uncle, he's in the hospital. I talked to my cousin last night. So there's all these things playing around, and I'm thinking, Todd, you don't have time to be trying to figure out if so and so's narrative about what's happening with the government and secret, all that stuff. I don't have time for that. This is a full-time job, because I have learned one thing: when I'm imbalanced, my life results are imbalanced. Things don't flow, and it's just moving so fast. It makes me almost feel like I'm not, because I know I'm infinite and all my capability, but I almost feel like a little child. That's not such a bad thing. Like
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
know. I don't know
The
anything.
thing is that I find it's you have to stay in that place. I literally was like in December, I took 3 weeks off
Yeah.
completely, to just go into silence, because I needed that. Especially we who work with the public. We need that space where we can just go deeply inside ourselves and find all our reconnecting and everything there, because we've got to tank up. We always give so much of ourselves. If you don't tank up, you go on empty, and then what you do, you burn up
Yeah.
out.
True.
It's so necessary, that quiet time, the stillness, and also to understand that with the eternal connection within you, you are able to do everything. The minute you go, you try to do it on your own, you won't get there,
Yeah.
especially at this time. And also, if we, what we can do is like who would go out to your family or to whoever you interact with, you can just call in their higher soul self,
Yeah.
you know, and speak from your heart, and speak from the heart of love. I always tell people, go and call in your guardian angel and ask them to speak to their guardian angel, and the message will get across
Yeah.
even before you get there. You're already coming from the heart of love and not from the heart of fear, because that's what most people do. They fear, and then they close their heart center down. The fear causes heart closed, and that is exactly when you get imprisoned in there. The minute your heart opens, you come from the heart of love. You are open, and your energies are open.
Mm.
And now you start embracing instead of rejecting.
Well, too, the other thing that lends to that I think is becoming more visible, but we're talking about uh, like a groundswell,
Mm,
like
mm,
grassroots, like
mm,
word of mouth. I'm not
mm,
talking about even some of these platforms, because a lot of the commentary and discussion is about the story, right? But what I'm
mm,
saying is, more and more people, because I've listened to them. I know it in
mm,
my own right. I know it in Morgan's right, and people close to me, and that
mm,
is those that are those times that a person really takes it within themselves and raises and or expands their frequency, that heart that you're talking about. Everything around you starts to change,
exactly.
as opposed to, and we used the example of, because we can all relate to family, like you were talking about with your brother. And so I'm going to go to this place. I've been an outcast for many many years,
Mm,
and
mm,
if I go in, or whoever that person is goes into the situation using the old methodology, right, of engaging, of
mm,
of
mm,
of of what, what I'm talking about, as opposed to like something like you're talking about with the guardian angels or the higher self to higher self. But that's all founded on my energy,
yeah,
right?
that's
So
right.
my energy will speak
Mm,
for
mm,
itself, and
that's
like
right.
tuning forks. So that's another thing I've noticed, especially the last part of 2020. More people actually saying that one way or the other. And I'll tell you, in the last 10 days on the show, I don't know how many shows we did, probably 20. uh, I bet you five or six of them relate stories like that without me soliciting it. They just said, this is what I found. But it's true, as within, without.
But what I always do is, with what I do now is, especially if I have to go into the 3D world,
Yeah,
I always ask that I will be surrounded by the energy of love, and that my way be prepared, so that all will feel the energy of love and come from the energy of love. And it really helps, because you often find now that doors just suddenly open, when beforehand they closed. Because especially now at this time, a lot of people are really in a fear-based energy.
yeah,
If you go out in the energy of love, that whole fear-based energy just dissipates.
yes, yeah, and it serves you. That's a very good point too, about applying it to the moment. We think, I'm just saying, I was thinking, well, in terms of when I go into a situation like my family, or when I go into a new business risk, or something that seems big. But you're right. We're in an environment now where there is a lot of fear-based programming. I think most of us have had encounters once or
Yeah.
twice in the last few months. I know we have. Um, and you're right. We can actually approach that moment the same way we would approach what I was calling a big moment, uh,
Mm.
and the same thing happens. And and I've actually heard people saying this over the last few weeks. Marie Batchelor was one. There was another lady that was on, and both of them were talking about how, let's say several months ago, they went out into public and they chose not to wear a mask, but they were accosted, and harassed. And they both said that now they go out and nobody bothers them. And so I was talking, I think it was Marie, and I said, I noticed that I would go out and I wear one around my neck like a handkerchief. And if somebody says, I just would pull it up or whatever. But I would notice that if I was thinking about it, it would happen. Like if I was thinking, oh, I wonder if someone's going to say anything to me, and I felt like the outcast. I felt like I was breaking a rule or something. I'm like, wait a minute. So then changing the mindset, like a lot like what you're talking about. That's what they were talking about. They were saying it's not in my field, and
Mm.
and now
Mm.
people are being gracious and nice, and yeah,
Exactly. But it's the energy that you choose to live in. You choose now the field that you wish to operate in.
yeah, moment by moment. That's what I've learned
Moment by
today.
moment, and you've got to stay in the present moment.
I've
Fully
really
conscious of that.
there, and I don't know if this is a sign or a signal for me to do something. But one of the things I've noticed too, remember I said I'm almost finding it, and I don't mean in a discompassionate way, but I mean I'm almost finding it intolerable to be around certain energies,
Yeah.
but yet I can't go, oh, that's not me. It's, I'm having to do work with that energy, but I'm finding that, oh my God, I forgot what I was saying. Um, Intolerant. I can't remember now. There goes the 3D memory.
You know what I find is you can't handle it. I've had that twice now in the last few months. It's like you the people want to get near you, but it's almost like, okay, you just find, okay, I don't want to go into that energy field.
Yeah,
And it's not because you're judging it.
right.
It's
That's what I
because
was
you
saying. Yeah,
cannot offer, you cannot lower your energy field into that energy field.
yeah,
There's a distinction there. There's nothing to beat yourself up for.
right.
I literally sort of felt it, like I was on phone call with somebody. And in that moment that I was on a phone call with somebody, I actually just felt that this energy was literally like there, and I was there. And at that moment, I knew I had the choice. I could continue in that and I would have been sucked in, or I could just immediately end the conversation in a nice way. And I just said, thank you.
Yeah,
No, and that was it. And immediately after that, I just immediately sort of cleared my energy field, and immediately I felt okay.
yeah,
And then I realized that if I'm here and I was going in there, I would have not been able to handle it. My
yeah,
my my whole physiology would have rebelled, and I would have gotten ill or something
yeah.
because I allowed that. But that is where we just have to be a bit discerning now, and also to understand you're not judging. Your psychic center is already telling you something here.
That's right. Yeah, and
So
it
your
and it
energies are picking that up, and they just, it's like, okay, that is not where you want to be. You cannot go there, because you must remember that now the lower energies will start disintegrating also if they're in your field.
yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm finding, because remember what I said. I said I'm finding these things intolerant. I'm intolerant to them,
Mm, mm,
but
mm.
I'm intolerant to them in myself. So now I have that that small still voice saying to me, "Do you have grudges? Um, why?" And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I have like this bit of an issue with somebody out of this huge, and it doesn't matter. Do you have a grudge? Have you shut them down as a means of division rather than what you just talked about? Because I can do that on a one-to-one basis through the things that happen in my present experience. But what about all the ones that I buried in coffins 10 feet below the surface in my past? These little things. So I'm hearing this thing that's going, are you really what you say you are? What are you going to do about this grudge? Are you going to unblock this person? Are you going to call this person? Are you just going to unblock them? And not that I have many people blocked, but are you going to energetically unblock them? And maybe you don't call them, but have you thought about energetically meeting them in the ethers and opening your heart to them? Like these things are happening, and it's a lot like your videos. It's a lot like that mother energy, that Glenda energy saying, hey, uh, you've talked about this long enough. We've informed you who you are. You know who you are. Now act like it. And I don't want to hear anything else. That's the kind of message I'm getting. Again, it's a lot like some of your videos.
Yeah, but that's true, because everything you see in others, as I say, something pushes your button at some stage. What is it within yourself? It's actually beautiful, because all of life is a mirror to us. It always reflects our own face back to us. It's not the other faces that we see, it's ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
It's beautiful.
Even if
And
it's not a person, right?
yeah, that's right.
Anything.
Everything reflects, and everything is a mirror reflecting our own face. And but it also sort of brings you into the stage where you sometimes can have a good laugh at yourself, so
That's so important. That to me is I was watching that David Icke Renegade movie he did last year about his life right before the show, just to, kind of familiarize myself. And at the end of the show, at the end of that movie, they asked a guy on the street in England, what do you think of David Icke? He said, well, I've known about him for 20 years and I've read some of his stuff. I don't agree with everything he says, but there's, and then he said, but the one thing I do love about him the most is that he laughs. He laughs at things, and most of all, he laughs at himself. And I went, wow, that's a really powerful thing. And a lot of the people that I really resonate with, they have that type of humor, with that wisdom in it. You one of the things too that in some of these videos that I've been sharing with the community that you've done in the remixes, there's this one that you talk about, and it's so moving, but you talk about, I don't remember what you're talking about, but then at some point, to make a point, you say, I cannot tell you through these soul readings that I do, you said, I'm always amazed at the expanse of the soul. Like the composition, the infinite composition, the expanse of the soul, and that's a good reminder too. I think for me it is,
it is.
to hold that in mind.
Oh, I tell you what, when you see what the soul name says, the soul name already defines the divinity within you, because your soul has been created to bring these divine attributes to all of creation. In other words, to live it, to broadcast it out, And I mean, there are master souls walking, so many master souls, but they don't realize they're masters. And that's it's a sad way, but also when those master soul awakens, boy, they start, sort of really walking to making a difference in life, the impact in life. And I think that most people, because of all the programming that we get, as I was talking about at the beginning, once they realize, but goodness me, I am this being, what am I doing?
Right.
Why am I allowing it? Isn't it time that I claimed my own greatness and not play it small anymore?
That's
We are
exactly.
more powerful than we can even imagine we are. And I so often with my guides, they say to me, but you know what, if you stand your power, you can do that. I think to myself, me? I don't think I can do that.
We all go through that, though, right? But you hit it on the head. The plain small thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that supposedly the star family, the ETs say that we are those that forgot they were gods, right? I mean,
Exactly, exactly.
um,
And
that's
and
been
that is why if once challenges come, when we literally stretched, we literally have to start using our inner soul abilities, because we have got no other chance. We've got no other way of doing it. We can't go shrink back to where we were before.
hey, nobody here did that, and everybody had their wake up experiences and their trials and tribulations, and everybody did, or we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be involved in this conversation. None of us. We wouldn't be involved in these communities. I mean, there's something to this, and it is about continuing to choose, that voice or that guidance or
Mm.
that natural part of us that's trying to. Are you? I know that you're having what, electric shortage there in South Africa. You said that, and of course with everything else going on, um, are you planning? Are you able to plan to go anywhere? Can you go? Can you leave the country? I mean,
Well, at the moment, I'm just letting it go, because, not letting it go. I've got such a long list, of all the countries that I still want to visit, and I'd love to go to the US. But at the moment, I think travel is a bit dicey. Not dicey, but it's all about the quarantine and things, and I don't
yeah,
really want to be
yeah. No,
quarantined.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think other than a car,
Mm,
driving in a car like we're going to start doing today. I don't know how I feel about jumping on a plane, even if it was a domestic plane.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just there's something about um, getting stuck somewhere. Like I remember
Exactly.
I got stuck in 9/11. I got stuck, and
Wow. Wow.
when that happened, when they grounded the planes, because I was traveling back in a lot, and
Mm, mm.
but that was a different atmosphere. This is
Yeah,
something
yeah.
different. Like,
It is something different.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
almost don't know, not to be not to be a prisoner to the potential of whatever can occur, but you
Mm,
kind of got
mm,
to be prudent. You kind of got to be practical
mm, mm, mm.
about it. But I think we have a friend that we've collaborated with we've done some really fun stuff, some expanding stuff out of Sedona, and I think we're gonna put something together um, this year. We're talking about it.
Mm.
So who knows how, and the other thing, who knows how quick things can change, and who knows how quick
Exactly.
the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
person's going to teleport. Because when the first
yeah.
person does it, the second person's going to do it. I mean,
Exactly.
this is the
Yeah.
stuff that I'm personally, and I know this is a literal statement, but I mean this in an energetic sense. These are the things that I'm willing to risk my life for.
Yeah,
These are
yeah.
the things, to me, the truth is the truth is the truth. I am that infinite expansive soul that you describe in that
Mm,
video. And
mm.
I want to do this. I think we have an opportunity to do this without physically transitioning. I think that's
Yes,
that's the
yes, yes,
difference.
yes. Like they keep, I'm keep being told that the traveling part will come very quickly. So if
Yeah,
it comes, it will come very quickly. And also, what I do believe is that we will start to manifest now traveling in a completely different way.
I agree.
And that
Yeah,
is opening up, and the teleportation is one of the things that will happen. It will
yeah.
definitely happen.
And even other forms of technology, which I personally believe already exist. I believe
Yes.
there's already
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah. Yeah.
where I could be in your home in a few hours,
Yeah.
through whatever
Yeah.
that means, is
Yeah.
underground train or whatever the case is. But yeah, and I feel what you're saying too. And I have been feeling this, and that is that the traveling is going to open up, and things are going to alter quite dramatically. You
They
know,
will. That's what I've been told. It will happen very, very quickly and very fast.
yeah,
Then it will just sort of like, but it will not go back to what we were before.
yeah,
Because in the meantime, while all of this has been happening, we've been lifted into a different state.
yeah,
And
yeah.
humanity doesn't realize that. you know, because that is exactly why you cannot go and stare at all these things that are supposedly happening. They're supposedly happening.
Right.
There's a different reality now that is busy playing out in the visible plane.
Yeah. That's right. Beautiful. I could
The
talk to you
whole, the
forever.
whole of humanity cannot go back to where it was before. It's impossible.
No.
We have been lifted into a different way, in
Yeah.
different form.
That's right. Yeah. What a blessing. What a blessing COVID-19, or the suggestion of COVID-19 and the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ramifications of it have been, because you're right. These things that you see, well, if you do this, it'll all go back to normal. This is the new normal.
It won't go back to normal because it's not normal. It's
Mm-mm.
we're going into a different type of life now. So
That's right.
that is exactly what it is. It's actually the greatest blessing that could have happened at this time. You know, people they say what I say is see it as a blessing,
Yes.
because it's literally pulling, it's awakening souls, it's pulling everybody out of their comfort zones, it's busy stretching them. All of this is good because they have to now look at alternatives ways. And we also look at alternatives ways of living.
Yeah.
And also we need to sort of look at planet Earth, you know. Things is Jesus is you know, she I literally was shown, you know, how I was taken out in outer space, and I was shown how the Earth looked like before, you know, in the old Earth now, before all
Huh.
this happened. And then um, I was shown the new Earth forming, and she's there, and she's beautiful and golden. She's just this beautiful. I can't even find words to describe it. She's there.
Hmm.
The old Earth is ceasing to exist.
I'm
She's
ready to roll, man. Let's
disintegrating.
do it. I'm ready to do it. Well, keep me posted, and let me ask you. So you mentioned a webinar that you did and you put out, or we're going to put out, and I know I know you're writing a lot, because I see it all the time, and also I haven't visited your page in a few days, but the last time I went, there was like 10 or 12 new ones, and I picked up a couple of them, and I want to go back and listen to them. But you've been doing some videos. They're excellent videos. And they're like, 4 to 6, 7 minutes, and they're very powerful, very succinct.
Yeah,
But
I only do them when I'm inspired to do.
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know how that goes. Believe me, I do. Absolutely. I have a
yeah,
feeling I'm
yeah,
going to be
yeah,
doing a lot of videos once I get back to Texas here in the next couple of days.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so people can find you of course, on Facebook, but I think you
Yeah,
also have judithkusel.com, right? Isn't it? Isn't
yeah,
that?
yeah. My website is
Yeah.
judithkusel.com.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm on MeWe now too because of all the things that happened at Facebook.
Right.
And then yeah, I'm thinking of all sorts of things to do this year, but I let it sort of come as it goes.
Right.
So it's busy coming into expansion,
Are
expanding
you are
form.
you still doing soul readings or any
Yes,
other?
our
Okay.
drinks are so popular.
Yeah.
The demand for them is growing now
I
because
bet.
souls are more and more in need of that. And yeah, and I haven't found that they're more powerful than ever before because I've gone now into a completely different, you know, state of being,
Really.
not just fine. And yes, and I'm doing webinars. My next webinar is on the 20th, where I'm going back to the soul. You know, what is the soul? You know, how does it? How's the universal soul? And then also about emotional baggage. You know, how do we dissolve that? How do we dissolve the charges? You know, how
Yeah.
do we heal in that? And then I'm going to do a very, very powerful cosmic cleansing and clearing meditation, which literally clears everything that you ever thought was finding it. So that is, and then this year, I'm going to really concentrate on the Sacred Heart teachings, which are being transmitted through me,
Yeah.
because these are very, from the universal core. It teaches us now to get into that higher state where we literally become unconditional love and and move into our true soul heritage, our true power.
Yes. Yes. And I can say that I've read, you did a soul reading for me, and I've read it probably 5 times. And I remember the first time, or I think it was the accompanying email, you said you might want to come back to this from time to time.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
have, and I actually did it last night. And it's so amazing because on the surface, it looks like words, right? But you read it, and all this stuff that I didn't get before, and this was part of why I brought up the thing about the tunnels, because they were like hanging
Yeah.
out there, and then I read it last night, and all of a sudden, I'm in the inner earth going. I'm like, where am I going? Where am I going? But it was all this information. It was more like a journey of like, okay, I'm going to go to my hometown, and it won't be who I see or what. It's actually just being there, and then you
Mhm.
pick up the code and
Mhm.
whatever. But yeah, so I was going to just say that I recommend it. I've had several friends that have actually written me. I think I told you. They said, "Hey, I got a soul reading from Judith." So I would, yeah, I think it's a great idea for anyone who wants to get some insight and continuous code offering through rereading it from time to time.
Yeah, yeah. I find they do work energetically because
Yeah,
people say to me years after, they say, I'm still reading them, and I
yeah,
start understanding them,
yeah,
understanding that they work with you on an energetic level. I'm just a transmitter. I mean, I've
yeah.
got no recall of them afterwards,
Oh, I know.
but they come through at a very, very high level.
Yeah,
At least I've got to go into much altered state, before I can actually transmit them. So they activate the keys and codes within the souls so
yeah,
that the souls remember, in a
yeah,
very high level. So that's what they do.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the way I would describe it. It
Mm,
activates code,
mm,
and
mm.
continues to. I guess as you expand and you go back and reread it, there's more available for you to see.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
that's right.
you, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of
Oh,
everybody for
thank
for your service and for your guts. Okay, a lot of people don't understand the physical experience as a human that you've had for many years, and the things that you did, and the determination and diligence that you've had, and it's thank you for doing it because everyone knows that's not easy, especially it might be easier for a man to be homeless and all that stuff, but you know what I mean? So I just want to say thank you on behalf of everybody for what you've done and what you do.
thank you for what you're doing. I mean, you're doing amazing service to the world, and even you. I mean, I can see how you have come a long, long way in these last few years.
Hmm.
I'm very, very proud of you, and continue the work. And
Thank you.
we're just going to do it at a very, very high level now, much
Yes.
higher than ever before.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
You're very
And
welcome.
and you are going to find that miracles do happen when you
Yes.
go on.
I feel it. And this, I feel it. And because I'm talking to you, that even makes it, you know, that even
Yeah,
emphasizes it more. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
always coming in. Thank you for always coming into my life at the right moment.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Isn't it funny how this worked out? It worked out perfect. I'll see you again soon. We'll reach out to you.
Okay, thank you
Love you.
so